right, guys, we are back from the break. This is A.I NoHo Radio, and we're all here on the mic. And here with me is...
Teddy and...
Jay.
Oh, Jay. Look at that swag. I love it. And our amazing guests now, both of them here right now, Adam Schwab and George Bush, career advisors here at the Art Institute.
Yeah, we got George in the
Guys,
house.
give us a little shout out.
Yeah.
Don't be mistaken, guys. That is actually Adam and George. They just look different because they're wearing...
We go by last names.
Yeah, they go by last
Schwab
name.
and Bush.
Schwab and Bush, right there. Swagger.
Bush Swab.
So, George, we were missing you on the first section, but now you're here. So,
Yeah, you know, cruising on the 101. I was late.
LA traffic, right? That's what we said.
Yeah.
You know, LA traffic had the city slow.
Right? Yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But you're here, so that's all that matters. All right, guys, so let's do this. Interview time. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, how did you get here to this position and, you know, helping other people to get jobs? Like, how was your journey to get here?
GB, you want to start?
I don't. You're sitting closer to her.
I'll go.
This ain't her. This ain't your show. She introduced the topic, and then it's not on you to pick a guest to talk. You talk.
All right, I'll go.
We'll give Schwab his own show.
I told you.
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
You know, Schwab does that. Schwab does that in team meetings. Like, somebody be like, "Oh, who wants to start?" Like, our boss would be like, "Yo, who wants to start?" And then Schwab would be like, "Ricky, why don't you start?" And it's like, "Nah, bro, you're not running the meeting. Like, you start."
Oh, God.
I do take control sometimes.
Yeah,
You
we
saw
are
graduation
seriously
when I take
reconsidering, you know, the show because maybe Adam should take over, right? Adam and Jay, because that's what he requested.
Yo, this is a real life story, but this one time at graduation, yo, like, it was me, Randall, and Johnson. We were all sitting down, drinking tea, and we had to organize all of the graduates into a line to go into the venue. And so all of us were sitting there just not doing anything, and Schwab gets up and he's like, "Yo, I'm going to take over. I'm going to get all these people in line." And I was looking at him, I looked at Johnson, I looked at Randall. I was like, "Bro, there's 4 of us here. You sure you don't need any help?" And Schwab said the most Bond villain thing I ever heard in my life.
I can't wait to hear this.
He's like, "I thirst for power."
I don't remember. He told me that. I don't remember saying it.
I have.
Everyone else says I said
I have
it too.
2 other people that corroborate that story, sir.
I
looked at
yelling
Randall.
at
I looked at Randall. I looked at Johnson, and I was like, "Y'all heard that, right?" It was like, "Yeah." I mean, I guess putting people in line makes them feel powerful. I don't know what to make of that. So, ever since then, we surmised that perhaps Schwab is a Bond villain.
It's my only opportunity to yell at graduates and tell them to get in line, so I took advantage of it. They listened, too.
You take charge,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
had to take charge.
Yeah.
You asked me
to
a
that.
question, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Way back. I'll go. Thanks, George.
Do it.
Yeah, I moved up here from San Diego. I've been working in for-profit education for a couple of years now, actually. So I worked in admissions and financial services, so I kind of have like a pretty good like base of everything. And then the opportunity for me to move up to LA arose. My girlfriend goes to school at FITM, so if I told her I got a position available up here, I would take it. So I did a couple interviews. Did one with George and Ricky, which was great. Yeah, I know.
Schwab, we go by last names, bro.
Yeah.
Correction.
It's hard for me to say Randall, because that's also a first name.
Well, you said handle before.
I know, God, Randall.
It's like Randal Kramer.
Yeah. But yeah, so
You said sandal.
I still have, I'd rather call you GB than Bush, too.
Oh, GB.
Is that okay?
That's not my last name, sir.
It's not, no.
You've said candle many times.
Yeah, that's true. You guys do go by last names.
I've
like,
never
I
called
hear
Ricky-
you,
I've never called
and it's
Ricky
like
by his
Schwab,
last name.
Bush, Johnson.
I try.
That's your thing.
So, everyone called me by my last name, though, too.
Okay, so you were saying, like, you came here as soon as you got the interview?
Yeah, just because my girlfriend goes to FITM, so I kind of had, like, a little bit of a background in fashion, and they were looking for a fashion design and marketing advisor, so
cool.
I kind of knew
How
the
does
industry pretty
how
well
does your
already.
girlfriend going to FITM give you a background in fashion?
Well,
I was wondering that, but no,
Like my
When you have a- when
fiance's
you-
in theater. That doesn't mean I have a background in theater. How does that
when
work?
you care about your significant other, you kind of take on their hobbies as your
Oh,
own, too.
that's
So,
cute.
you know, late at night, she'll just keep talking about fashion, so If I know the trends and I know the industry, then
Schwab, that's like saying Melania Trump should be the Republican nominee because she's married to
all
Donald.
of a sudden Clinton is the nominee, and she was his wife. So
she was also a New York senator, Secretary of State. She was an attorney. She
models
went
can
to
be
Harvard
politicians.
Law. Schwab, I just don't understand.
Schwarzenegger was
I
an
don't-
actor, and he became a
How does your
governor.
girlfriend
true,
going to
true.
fit him give you a background in fashion? Did you put
It
that on a resume?
it didn't give me a background. It gave me an insight. How
Okay,
about
because that's
that?
exactly you said.
Insight.
I have a background in fashion.
All right. Bad word choice.
Live editing right here.
Yeah,
From
bad
George
word
Bush.
choice.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Schwab. I got a headache, man, so I can't take too much thought on stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Like, I can't listen to something and be like, oh, he must mean they stay up late at night and talk about fashion and stuff. Not like literally he has a background in fashion.
No.
I don't have the brain capacity to make that kind of choice right now, Schwab.
This is why Ricky doesn't want to
Schwab.
come.
You guys are hilarious.
Randall.
Ricky,
Randall, he
Ricky,
corrected himself. See, he's
Ricky
like,
didn't want to come to the show today
What?
because he is probably somewhere brushing his beard with a $20 brush. He's probably somewhere, you know, I don't know, just looking at pictures of himself from last week and admiring those. He's probably helping the homeless by giving them luxurious scarves.
he said he was really busy. So
Yeah, he's always
I
busy.
tried to bribe him with pizza. It didn't work. When food doesn't work for bribing, I mean, nothing else is gonna work. That's my theory. I don't know what he's doing.
Ricky eats caviar on top of Pop-Tarts. That's how he rocks, yo. That's the kind of life he's living.
Oh my gosh. So besides, your girlfriend going to
Yeah.
fit him, as George has pointed out, like, have you, now that you took on this job, like, have you, gotten to see really what the fashion industry's like? Like, what's your insights now that you can experience it, like, firsthand,
Well, some of the advice that I got from the guys was that you just kind of have to like immerse yourself in the industry to really
Yeah.
get a good grasp of it. So I made the effort to go out and make connections. So I visited a couple of the major showrooms, like the Design Cooper building and CMC downtown, just to kind of get a sense of where the industry is, like what are the different available positions and stuff like that. So right off the bat, I tried making just some good connections. And honestly, the more you immerse yourself in the industry, the more you learn. Like, I had no background or insights into game art and design or VGP. But just talking to students and talking to graduates for the last 6 months, I actually can talk, pretty well, affluently with these guys about their industry. So it's just a matter of, making the effort to get to know it.
Yeah, and then that's interesting because I was actually gonna ask you what your major was. Like, I was always wondering if it had something to do with fashion.
No, do you want I got my bachelor's degree in religious studies from UCSB, and then I went to USD for my master's and got it in peace and justice studies. And
Oh, wow.
my area of emphasis was in conflict resolution. So I was actually a mediator for
wow.
the Superior Court for a while, but
That's
I don't like
awesome.
listening to people's problems, so I had to stop.
You had to find something else,
Yeah,
and now
it
you have
was
to
just-
find people jobs.
Yeah, my first one that I got, or actually, it was like these two Hooter girls, like waitresses that were fighting over a security deposit because of pet
I'm
stains.
sorry, wait, you referred to them as Hooter girls?
Hooter waitresses.
Hooter girls.
Yes,
Totally
they were
agree.
rusty, but they actually worked at Hooters. So,
Schwab, you're going to get letters from the National Organization of Women for that. Hooter girls?
I'm sure they've been called worse.
You can call them better, though.
Do you have another opinion on my
Schwab.
vocabulary?
To say they've been called worse, man, you got it. Yesterday was National Women's Empowerment Day. What are you talking about, man?
Was it?
Yesterday was
Poor
National
Adam
Dog
is
Day.
starting to sweat right now. He's like,
Yeah, it was
George.
National Dog Day. It was. I remember.
When was National Women's Empowerment Day?
I don't know. I
Day
think you just
before?
called mistake.
When was it?
Empowerment
The
Day
day
with
before?
National Dog Day.
The day
Friday?
before? I thought you said July 4th. I was about to
No.
slap you with this mic. It happened a couple days ago, man. Shout out to all the women.
And
To all the women.
Yeah, empowerment.
And you say that you've been really trying to immerse yourself in this fashion industry. How responsive are the employers? When you go to them and say, we have students here that are looking for an opportunity, what's the response? Like, do they want to collaborate? Have you faced people that are like, no, thank you, I'm not interested? Like, what's been your experience in that?
now you're trying to get me in trouble. It's mixed. there's a certain reputation out there for a couple of the industries that they don't want some of our graduates.
Wow.
But also a lot of them have made really bad impressions too.
Wow.
Like I had a kid not show up to an interview like 4 times in a row.
Yikes.
And so he's like, don't ever send me another AI grad ever again.
What?
So we've made bad impressions to certain companies out there that I can't make those bonds. So it just depends on who you get. You know, honestly, if that person ends up leaving the company, I can make a new relationship there and try and mend that relationship. But there's a lot of bad apples out there that have ruined a couple positions.
Well, Schwab, I
however,
think you
there
just
is
hit
a
on it.
good side to it.
We
There
gotta
is
get
a
those
very
people
good side
fired.
to it.
Get the people that think bad at AI, get them fired. Just say they didn't hire our students because we happened to mention our student was African American. They didn't want to hire him. I don't know what to.
That's a whole nother issue.
That's what I would say. Like, if it was you, whoever that was, be like, look, you know, all I'm saying is I mentioned that the student we're sending may be Jewish. Next thing I know, that person can't work there. All I'm saying.
I'd say 70% of the time it's good though. People
Okay.
want to talk to us. There is that bad part, but those moments stick out more than the good ones.
Yeah.
Because you're a little taken back by them.
Yeah.
And you take more offense to them.
And I think that also speaks of the responsibility that we have as students, right? Because we're representing the school in a way. So like you're saying, maybe you think, oh, you know, I'm not going to do as good or whatever, I'm going to slack. But you're not really aware that you're representing the school. And maybe because of you, you know, your major can get a bad reputation.
Yeah,
So I think that speaks about an
I
important
always
stuff.
try and prepare people before they go into interviews.
Uh-huh.
So like if someone has an interview, I want to know about it because I want to review what you should be saying in this interview before you go into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people tank interviews at the same time, and that's just not a coincidence. It's a
Yeah.
correlation. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Schwab just SAT words.
All right, George. So what about you? Now you tell us about your story. How did you get here?
Well, first off, I do want to ask: is it okay to do this show without sneakers on? Because my feet are hot.
Go for it.
are your socks matching today?
They are. Is this? I just want to make sure this isn't the kind of show where, like, if you don't have shoes on, it's like no
You
shirt,
get
no
kicked
shoes,
out
no
or
service. So I am not wearing sneakers right now.
Cameras will go off because you don't have your shoes on or something like that. No, that's not going to happen here, George.
Okay, because
Be yourself. We like that.
I'm trying.
Shoeless. Shoeless George, please.
My story is I was, right before this, I was an assistant property manager for a commercial real estate portfolio that was co-owned by Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. And so it sounds exciting, you know, I'm glad everyone's like clapping and stuff, but it's really boring work.
Goldman Sachs, huh?
Yeah. I had got to a point, I got my real estate broker license, and I wanted to make a lot more money, and they told me I couldn't. So I said, well, you can show me the door. I'll just do something else with my life. Mm-hmm. And the company I was at said that I couldn't, like, sell real estate as well. So I said, okay, so I need to get out of that industry, get into something else where I can do my own real estate on the side. And I was at a party, and I met Kelly Lewis. Her and I had done some real estate events together.
Previous director. Career
Oh,
Services.
Kelly.
And she was like, yeah, man, I'm hiring for career services advisors. And I said, you do understand that I work in property management and those don't make any sense. But she had pointed out that I had gotten like a lot of people jobs, just like referrals and helping people with resumes. And I
Wow.
said, well, you know, that's cool. And she also correctly noted that I was a freelance graphic designer for like 10 years and she needed someone to help with graphic and web design. So that's how I got here. I interviewed over the phone.
Wow.
I was sitting at home in my boxers eating Cheetos when I got the interview.
With no shoes, right?
I had shoes on. I do. Hey, I have class. When I'm sitting at home in my boxers eating Doritos, I have shoes on.
Okay.
I'm not some hack. So I was sitting at home eating Doritos and Cheetos, and then next thing I know, I was here. I ended my job at my last job on, what was it, September 16th, and then September 17th, I was here working.
Wow. So you
Forget
never
the
know.
2 weeks notice.
No, I gave him 2 weeks notice, but like Johnson kind of took off the last week. Like he was just like, you know what I'm saying, drinking Coca-Colas and stuff and writing poems. He kind of took. I had to work all the way up until 5 o'clock because that industry is very demanding. If you're like running a commercial real estate portfolio, it's very demanding. I worked up until 5 o'clock that day. I didn't take any vacation time. 8 a.m. the next day, I was here.
Wow.
I've been a freelance graphic designer since Adobe was still using numbers. Like I was on. I'm so old. I remember Adobe Photoshop. No, wait, because now you got like CS6 and Adobe. Like now they have Creative Cloud and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Back in my day, there was a disc that had Photoshop on it, and it came like it was a separate disc for each program, right? And so you had to like load it, and then like you would put it on Windows 98, and then like you would walk away and like say make like Pop-Tarts or something, and then come back and it'll be downloaded like an hour later. Like now it's all Creative Cloud, and
They used to sell them in boxes that were like 10 times the size of their actual disc. So.
To show, right, the
I don't
importance
know
of
why
it.
they would just sell CDs.
this
in
is
such
how
giant
old
boxes.
I am. I remember the first time I saw Photoshop. It was a co-advertisement with an America Online CD. It was like, you can also get.
My God.
And back then there was something called this is also how old I am. But there used to be something called Macromedia. It was like an earlier version of I guess whatever they were doing now. But it used to have Macromedia and like just old. So I've been doing graphic design a long time. So I know. And all my graduates, I try to tell them, look, man, do your own business. You're going to be working for somebody. You're going to be working for the rest of your life. You're going to be clocking in the rest of your life. Like, do your own thing. Even if you do go work at a company, still do your own thing. Make your own money. You don't got to report to anybody. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Like, I still do graphic design. It's been a passion of mine. Nobody tells me what I can't do. Nobody tells me when to clock in. I take my own clients. I do my own meetings. I mean, I work for Art Institute too, but that's really more to help, people do the thing that I did is just go get your own money.
Tell us about the students. Like, I know Adam had the story about, one student not showing up for 5 interviews. Has anyone in the students that you work with, like, give a bad impression, not impression, but like a bad image for, say, I know you do audio, so how about audio?
Well, see, I don't look at it as you're giving the universe, you're giving yourself a bad, I tell you, look, you're giving yourself a bad name. Like, the number one thing, because see, people are selfish by nature. Like people that come here generally, like if once they leave here, they're not going to care about the artists. They're like, oh man, I really care about. They're going to care about what money is coming in my pocket, what's my next interview, who's texting me, who hit me up on Facebook. Like we don't live in the '60s where like you go to Berkeley and like after that you're a part of all the Berkeley programs and like you're a part of the community and like there's this selfless kind of like. Who was it? Was it FDR? JFK was like, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Like, we don't live in that age anymore. We live in an age where, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, hit me up. Like, hit me up. We live in a very selfish culture. So, when people come to me, I'm like, look, you're not going to hurt me if you don't show up to an interview. I'm still going to have a job here. I don't get commission if you get the job. Whether you get the job or not, I don't get any commission. I'll still be here. Even if they fired me from this job for whatever, I still make money. Like, I still do real estate. I still do So basically, you're not going to hurt me, and you're definitely not going to hurt the unit. Like, as much as our reputation is hurt, this building's still here.
I try and talk people out of that in like their exit interviews, though. Like, I try and tell them, like, you think about some of the greatest schools in the country. What makes them great is their alumni association. They can go out there and get jobs because their alumni look out for each other, right?
That's
so
cool.
One of the things that I try and tell people, like, hey, I'm going to track this information down for you because I want to. It's not because I'm trying to hound you about getting placements. Like, I want to know where you work because I want to try and build a strong alumni association, right? Like, you think about, like, I came from San Diego. San Diego State has an amazing one. People stay in San Diego because there's just jobs available for them there. Or like Harvard, or like you said, Berkeley, these places.
Schwab and I have different views.
Yeah.
My thing is, look, help yourself. If you help yourself by having a dope resume, having a website, being prepared, going to the interview. You don't go to the interview, you ain't hurting me. You certainly ain't hurting Art Institute. You're certainly not hurting EDMC. This company makes billions of dollars. You're not going to hurt them. You're going to hurt yourself because 6 months after you graduate, you're going to start getting them bills. And see, people always call, because with Sally Mae and like all these other companies that y'all get loans from, what they'll do is they won't tell you anything until about 5 months go by. So like right after, because you're supposed to start paying back loans after 6 months or whatever. They won't hit you up until month 5. That's when I get all the phone calls like, yo, man, so what's up? Like, time to get a job. Like, yo, what's good?
I mean,
What's good? And
I
then,
agree
like,
with you though. Like, I thought it would be common sense. Like, why would you not go to the interview? Like, you're trying to get a job, right? And you're gonna need that job sooner or later.
There's a very simple answer to that, and I've been there. It's because if you don't have like children, if you don't have a wife, if you don't have a mortgage to pay, if you don't have to pay back thousands of dollars of credit card loans, or you don't have to like rebuild your credit, or you're not trying to refinance your home, if you don't have to deal with like stuff in your 30s, in your 20s you gotta probably deal with like, yo man, this line is long, man. I wonder if I could just get that dude $10 to get to the front of the line. Like I'm not saying that's what all the 20s experience is like, but there's an invincibility that kind of wears off after 25. And like, you know, I see it all the time. Like I see kids come out and they just have to, I don't need this job. Like I could do it, you know, I could take this. And I always tell people it's not where you start, it's where you finish. I've started at the bottom everywhere. I started at the bottom here. I was the newest career services advisor. I started at the bottom. I also do part-time at Live Nation. I'm the box office manager for the Palladium. I started at the bottom there. I did an internship after I already graduated college. I already had a bachelor's degree, and they didn't want to hire me. They said I had to do an internship. I know some people think they know what internships are, but this is hardcore. I showed up to Live Nation every day at 8 a.m. and I stayed till 5, and I did that for 6 months. And then after that, I would go to the venues and I would work part-time. So I was doing like 14 hours a day of work for about a year, making minimum wage. And I was just like I look at that, and the only reason I was really making money because I was still doing freelance graphic design. I'll have people come to me and tell me that they don't want to do a particular kind of graphic design because it's not in like their portfolio. I'm like, yo, you need to be out here getting this money, yo. Like, because if you're not, somebody else will. Because here's the thing. Whenever people from here graduate, you're not just competing against this guy or this guy. You're competing against somebody like me, like someone who's already been out there. You're competing against people from UCLA. You're competing against somebody from Finland. You're competing against this kid who just moved here from Japan, has been doing graphic design since he was 5. You're competing against people way hungrier than you that got bigger bills and that will out-hustle you at every moment.
The reality check with these people like finally hits them, and then that's when they hit us up. Like there's a commonality of complacency, and they think they're invincible. They have egos, and all of a sudden they're like, "Dang, I've been on 20 job interviews.
Life hits you,
yeah,
and it's
you're like, I need to start paying back these loans. Like, I have no experience. Like,
because here is
George,
cool.
Please help me.
Here is cool. Like, you know, you in your class, you in your audio club, whatever class you in, you competing against like, you know, your homie over here. But you get out there once you know, you're out of the like safety net, and you got to compete against like. I compete against some of my own graduates for some jobs. Like, I'll give it to them, and then, like, they'll mess it up. Like, I just gave one of my students a real, like, a legit web design job, or legit web design. This person messed it up. And then I had to go back, and I didn't want it because I'm just too busy. Like, I'm too busy to do it, but I have to do it. And the point is, any graduate that comes out of here is competing against somebody like me, somebody who's older, somebody who's hungrier, somebody who's wiser, somebody who's sharper. The only thing that people coming out here have is they have an actual degree in it. They're younger, they're faster, and they're most likely smarter because everything I learned over the course of a decade, and it took like years to build, you know. Here you can get it, and you can, what I learned in 11 years of doing freelance, you could probably learn in 2 years of a hardcore like associate's program, 4 years of a real bachelor's program, and do a fraction of the work I had to do. Like, I used to have to go walk. Like, when I first got to LA, I used to have to go to companies. I used to go to their doors, knock on the door, show them my portfolio, show them everything, and hope I get a job. I used to call everybody on my call list. Yo, man, you know, I know the 4th of July is coming up. Like, yo, I just want to see if you need graphic design. Like, I'll give you discounts. Labor Day. Yo, I know Labor Day is coming up, man. I know you guys are doing some parties down there. I just want to know if you need some graphic design.
Wow. Like,
you can get all that. That kind of hustle is like something. You mean you can learn the skills here, but you got to get out there, like that.
You gotta have it.
That mentality, like, yo, okay, I'm competing against like. There's another George out there. There's another Schwab out there. There's another person out there that will. If I let this slip, they're going to out-hustle me.
And we live in Los Angeles, too. Like, jobs are saturated, but so is talent. So if you're not putting in the work, to out hustle those
gonna-
other people, you're not going to get
Yeah.
a job. And that's what a lot of people need to learn.
And before we go, guys, I wanted to ask you, speaking of what you're saying, like that hustle and everything, how do you motivate students? When you get someone that looks like, they're slacking and it's like, oh, whatever. How do you motivate them? Like, just before we go, I just want to ask both of you guys, like, how do you do that? Because it's basically what you do here.
I'll go first again.
George is thinking about it.
No, I got to answer, but I was waiting for Schwab to sign who was talking.
I think life will always be the ultimate motivation. Like I said, the reality will eventually hit in for them. But my goal has been trying to get to them early. So as soon as a new quarter starts, I try and build a relationship with every single student that I have.
That's nice.
Like, these guys will make fun of me because my exit interviews are 45 minutes to an hour and a half long, which is way longer than anybody else's. I take them into the back office. We have like a little private meeting.
In our defense, we would make fun of you anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's
No
not,
matter
it's
what.
not
just
meeting
the,
time.
it's not just the exit interviews.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
I've had people cry in those things, just
how
tell me like their
cute.
darkest secrets.
Wow.
Yeah, Kevin told me all about his feelings for Bridget.
oh man,
That's adorable.
Blast.
But no, like I'll try and get to them early and try and let them know the reality of what they're going into after graduation. Like, nobody helped me with a job after I graduated a degree in religious studies. Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody there. Like, I'm here to like bat for these people, and they have to understand that I'm not there to hound them every single day. Like, get a job. I'm not your mother. Like, I'm your career advisor. Like,
Yeah.
utilize me to your full capability. So, and I'll put everything I have back into it.
Definitely.
I only help
Opposite.
people.
This is like,
George is
yourself.
amazing, by the way. He's my career advisor, and I'm obsessed with you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but like I'll make this is I mean, like with the LG thing, like you got a dope opportunity to work at a Fortune 100 company as an internship.
but you hustle. You hustle for it too.
Yes.
She did what my thing is, if you do what I tell you to do, you're gonna be fine. Like, the reason I am here is because I am a professional
You're amazing. Yes.
at helping people get employment. It's been recognized that I have professional capacity
Yes.
to do that. Now, if people come to me and they want to sleep and miss interviews, that's cool. Like I said, I'll still be cool. Like, I'm still gonna be eating 420 bars. I'm still gonna be. Still going to be, you know what I'm saying, kicking it with Ricky Randall and Schwab. Like, we're going to be cool. But ultimately, in terms of how do I motivate, I don't. I got to be honest. I don't motivate anybody. Because once you get out there, you know what I'm saying, like, T-Mobile doesn't need to motivate you to pay your bill.
Yeah.
Whoever you're going to pay rent to, they don't need to motivate you to pay your bill.
I love it.
That's just what being an adult is about. You just have to do it. So you got to find your... I'm not here to, it'd be great, like, Schwab's great at what he does. It'd be great if I could be that kind. I'm just not that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Nature versus nurture. I'm the
Yeah,
nurturer.
like,
This guy's the
if you bought a car and you got it financed through, like, Chase or Bank of America ain't going, if you don't pay your bill, they're not going to show up and be like, hey, man, I'm just waiting. Do you need some motivation to pay us? Or no,
You can do
either
this.
you pay it,
I pay my
you
bills, by
either
the
pay
way.
it or your car gets taken. And with me, it's the same thing. You either are going to make the resume that I tell you is going to put you in the best place to be hired, do your website, show up to interviews, be clean, be honest, be persistent, or you're not going to get it. You're just going to be sitting home wondering, and then, you can blame me all you want, but I'll have documentation showing that I provided this graduate with just exceptional career advice.
Yeah.
And we document it.
And then you
That's
didn't want to. That's the other thing. Like, it's a combination of like that feeling. I've been there because I was 21. I was 20. I felt there was a time where I felt invincible and like everything would be cool. Like, I'm not going to be 30 for another decade. And then like stuff starts hitting you. You start seeing bills piling up. You start seeing like your friends are having an internship at LG that turned into like a regional director position. You start seeing people in happy relationships traveling the world, and you eventually. It all catches up. So I was gonna say, I give everybody a wake up call now, because I mean, this is just life. Your 20s go by so fast, and then like if you don't start off on the right foot, once you get out of school, get the gears going. Once you get out, you do portfolio show. I'm sure everyone here is gonna do portfolio show. Once you do your I be telling people that portfolio show, you have an opportunity to.
Yeah.
The employers are here to meet with you. Be friendly. You know, I always tell people, if you're not like a turned up, outgoing person, you don't have to be that. We had this one guy, Leon Hilton, quiet dude, cool guy, you know what I'm saying? But he was the most engaging. He would walk up one-on-one, shake people's hands, look them in the eye, tell them what he had to offer, tell them what he could bring to their company. That dude's out there working like he got a job at IKEA.
Wow.
He as a designer. He has a job at another sliding door company. He does his own freelance stuff. Quiet dude. Chill guy, very unassuming, but he's a hustler, and that's what you got to be out here. You know, no matter what you do, it's not limited to your major. Because I know
every program.
I know the set and exhibit design and maybe industrial design, like even VGP and Game Art, they were like, oh man, you know, it's harder to get. It's not harder because people have those jobs. The people that have those jobs, and the other thing, I just watched something that was very telling. I watched this interview with Steve Martin, and he was talking about how people always ask him, how do you make it in the business, yo? How do you make it? How do you be a star? And he said, look, you got to focus on being really, really good at something. You know, you have to focus on being undeniably good. And a lot of times I see people aren't even like the best designers in their class, let alone you can't walk into somewhere where you're competing against. Like, these jobs are global competitions. Like, if whatever company, like LG is a global company. They have global resources to find the best people on the planet. Focus on whatever. This is something for everybody watching and everyone that hears it. I don't care where you're hearing. Whatever school you go to, whatever major you're in, whatever program you want to do, focus on being the absolute best at it. Focus on being undeniably good. That's what I like. People come to me. I'm legit the best graphic designer that a lot of people know. When people talk about me, career services advisor, I want to be the best career advisor that people know. Box office manager, this dude is the best box office manager we know. This dude's the best real estate broker we know. This dude's the best DJ we know. Like, everything I do, because everybody's like, how can you do all this stuff? Everything I do, I try to be the best at it. The absolute best. I don't care who's out there. And for whatever you do, if you focus on that, not like, how do I get a job? Because at the end of the day, like, there's not a lot of people that's here to help you get jobs. There's me, there's Schwab, there's Johnson, there's Randal.
Tash.
Those are the only people that are there to kind of help you get jobs. But if you focus on, you know what, how can I be the best audio engineer? You'll find out that you'll start having mentors and people that are better than you that'll show you. You'll find programs where you can help. You'll start looking on YouTube, watching videos on how to do it. You'll start reading books. You'll start going to conferences. But if you're focusing on how to be the best, the resources, that's where you'll start finding the resources to build you up. But if you're just focusing on getting a job, then you may never get a job.
True. Absolutely.
That sounds very motivational to me. We started all this by saying, I don't motivate people. George, you're amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No,
You're
but see
the best.
I can't manufacture that motivation. Like,
Yeah.
for somebody to want, if you want to be like just an average designer, I mean, sure, maybe you'll get a job, maybe you won't. But, you know, the people I've seen are people that want to be dope. They want to be great. So they'll focus on, okay, how do I make myself great? Like, this person's better. How can I be better than that person? Oh, this person's over here doing this. This person's working at LG. How can I be there? Like, how can I do this? Like, this person's in this network. How can I be like that person? Everybody I see, doesn't matter who. Like, even my boss now, Susanna, I'm like, okay, so she's doing director of student services. What kind of moves does it take in life to get there? And then you'll start figuring out, like, that stuff starts coming natural when you start figuring out, okay, what do I want to be the best at?
I love it.
I want to be better than everybody else at this. I want to be the guy or the girl that people think of when they think of this, you know? And then you'll start finding pieces to put together to that puzzle as opposed to, you know, I want to get a job in this or I want to have a career in this. No. I want to be the best, you know, industrial designer. How can I do? Like, Leon legit wants to be the dopest industrial designer. And what happened? He started telling people, you know, I'm just really... People started giving him jobs.
It. Oh my God.
That's it, you know?
That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And before we leave, a quick shout out to Tash, who's not here anymore.
Shed a tear.
Tash, we miss you. Why did you abandon us? Don't we miss him?
Yeah.
We're so sad that
Yesterday
he's
was
gone.
his last day and I already missed him.
I miss him because now everyone else has better hair than me. Johnson and I were bald brothers.
Oh, okay. Well, Tash, shout out to you. We love you and miss you. All right, guys. Well, that is all for today. Thank you so much for the interview. That was amazing. We are going to go to a little break, and we will be right back.
Cool, thanks guys.
Thank you.